Hi, I'm Jerry Wise. I'm a therapist at Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana, on the north side of Indianapolis. And I'd like to present another video today. And the topic is entitled Marital Therapy, Do It for Yourself, Do It for Your Kids. And if you get no other points or ideas from this video, I would like you to get this one. Whatever issues we do not resolve, we leave for our children to resolve. Let me state that again. Whatever issues we don't resolve, that becomes the inheritance we give to our children for them to resolve. Which, given, if that's true, we can certainly understand why marital therapy, or therapy in general, would be an important help for us and for our kids. Because the more we resolve our issues, the less we pass on to our children and leave them free to be who they want to be without the encumbrance of our emotional issues, our emotional dysfunctions. As most of us probably already realize, if you have children, kids are always learning, they're always watching, they're always interacting with us, and that includes our marital stress, our family dynamics. Kids are always involved in that emotional field, we call it in family systems, in the family systems world, an emotional field in which there's all of this ebb and flow of emotionality happening within a family, within a marriage, and between parents and children, and all that's happening all the time. That certainly has an impact on our children, and it also, of course, has an impact on us. Remember, you are resolving or trying to resolve issues that your parents and your family of origin were not able to resolve. So just as it's true that we pass on our unresolved issues to our children, our parents passed on their unresolved issues to us. So that can be a very helpful insight if you're trying to work on marital problems or even individual issues that you might have yourself. That one means of insight is to take a look and see how unresolved issues from the past might be an inheritance to you. And that can be a way to begin to heal and grow given that insight. There are unseen forces at work in your marriage, and try not to think that you have it all understood or see things clearly about your marriage. Now, the reason I say that is that many times couples will come in and they have the problems clearly outlined, and they clearly know what the problem is. She does this, he does that. If you just fix what she does and if you just fix what he does, then we'll just walk away happy and have a great time if we can just resolve those issues, because that's how we see it. The difficulty is there's lots of unseen forces that are going on within a marriage, and that to recognize that can help us really find the true root and source of the problems that we're experiencing within our marriage. Of course, you do see some things clearly. I mean, if someone is having an affair, that's clearly a problem in the marriage and clearly causes a conflict. And clearly, someone has chosen badly around those choices. And that the person who has been the one betrayed also chose this person to be their spouse. So there are lots of dynamics going on within this marriage around an affair, for example. So I'm not saying affairs are not a problem. What I'm saying is there's a whole lot of unseen forces, a whole lot of dynamics that are going on that play into this affair issue. The affair itself tends to more be a symptom rather than a root cause of the problem. So remember, when you're dealing with problems with yourself or with your marriage, Oftentimes what you're seeing are symptoms, not the root cause. If we always saw the root cause and always saw the unseen forces, we probably wouldn't have been here in the first place. So we have a certain subjectivity, or we don't see what's going on. And we don't see what our parents didn't resolve. Our children don't see what we didn't resolve. That's kind of left in a blind spot. And therapy is there to help you resolve those blind spots and give you freedom and allow you more freedom to make choices for who you want to be, and to grow in self-differentiation and a sense of self and self-awareness, and also making choices that you want to make in your marriage and in your family. For example, here are some things, certainly marital conflicts are not linear. Just like I've said, our marriage problems is not just because he had an affair. That's kind of a linear way of thinking. Certainly an affair is a problem, and that has caused a lot of pain and suffering and shame and difficulty. But our marriage conflicts generally are layered. There are layers to our difficulties that we have. And when I talk about those layers can include emotional triangles, enmeshment, unresolved anger, jealousy, neediness, abandonment, depression, undue unhappiness, our emotional inheritance that we've gotten from our parents. And so there are lots of layers that can be involved when we have and see a symptom of a problem. And one thing to remember, I think in a family systems type of way, in a family systems world, the solution is not near the problem. In other words, for him to just stop having the affair doesn't solve the problem. It certainly will be some symptom relief. I think he should stop the affair. I think that should be ceased so that we can get some clarity on why he is broken, why she is broken, so we can understand a lot of things. But I'm not so sure stopping the affair solves all the problem. I think the solution is farther away than that, is what we mean in a family systems way of thinking. When marital conflict and stress is high, and mom and dad are experiencing unresolved issues, it draws in our children, and it draws them in emotionally to our marriage. And that kind of goes along with the topic of this video, that marital therapy, do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Because what happens is, the more stressed we are as parents and the more stressed we are within our marriage, it draws our children into our marriage more, and that's unhealthy for them. It's unhealthy for us. Because children do better when there's stronger and better intergenerational boundaries. Children are happier, healthier. They become better self-differentiated and do better in the world when we have that separation. We don't want our kids all up in our marriage. And a lot of times parents come in who are struggling with their marriage problems, and the kids have been triangled into the marriage problems. And certainly the common that I think is classic is when a couple is divorcing and they use their kids to continue to fight. That draws the kids into the marriage and thus causes problems for a long time for the kids and for the parents. And I think probably the kids become the greater casualty in that dynamic. So I really try to help parents understand, let's keep the kids out of your marriage, because they just need to grow up and be kids and not be in the middle of all your stress and dynamics. We want to keep our kids out of our marriage. Kids need to focus on their childhood and not our adult problems or our adult dysfunction. And I think also the more pain we experience as parents, if we're dealing with a lot of stress and problems or marital difficulties, the higher levels of abandonment, depression and problems that kids may experience and may be felt by kids. When I say abandonment, in other words, if I'm all focused on my pain and I'm focused on the conflict between a spouse and I, who gets left in that dynamic? Well, the kids do, because I'm focusing on me, I'm focusing on a spouse, and the kids are kind of, collateral damage. And so they feel left out of a more healthy family dynamic. And so that's why it's very important to get marital therapy, very, very important to work on marital issues, so that our kids can be freer from our problems. And I think that's a very important dynamic and a very important truth that family systems teaches, that we want kids to be freer from our problems. That allows them to be healthier and to grow up and as healthier and more happy adults. And I think another interesting note is that when kids have problems, in a family systems way of thinking, kids are kind of the canaries in the mine. In other words, when there's a problem that is happening, that's not being addressed, kids may be the first symptomatic problems. And so when kids come into with problems, I always want to look and see what's going on with the marriage, what's going on with the family. Because if the kids are having problems, they're probably indicating that there's a problem going on in the family. Kids are the canary in the mine. So if our kids are having problems, we may want to take a look at how are we doing as mom and dad, communicating with each other, with our conflict. Do we need some help as a couple? Those are some questions we can begin to ask ourselves. It is amazing. The problems we're having now in our marriage or in our lives, the problems we are having now as adults are often thematic, parallel, and mirror problems that parents did not resolve and that were not resolved in our family of origin. Again, I emphasize, it's not a blame game. We're not trying to blame anybody for what they've done. Most of the time, parents have done the very best that they can. Parents are not bad people. Parents often have loved us, cared about us. They just have their own problems, just like we love our children, but we have our own dysfunctions, limitations, addictions, problems. So it's not a matter of questioning love or blame. It's a matter of understanding and getting insight and seeing things we didn't see before. It's about insight and it's about awareness. And that can bring about improvement in the marriage and also will help kids as well. I hope me talking about the importance of marital therapy and how it's important for you, for your kids, for the whole family, and extended family, actually. I mean, I could even say, do marital therapy for you, for your kids, for your grandkids. Do marital therapy for your great-grandkids. Because we do pass on our unresolved issues to other generations. So let's work on things now and make things better now. If you really want to give your kids some gifts, maybe they don't need that brand new toy or those best shoes or those. Maybe we could give them something even more significant, which is a healthier mom and dad. And I hope you'll think about that. And if you want help, give me a call at 317-919-6264. You can also find us at www.familytreecounseling.com. And for those of you who are not in the Indianapolis area, we do Skype and FaceTime coaching and family work with folks. Please give us a call. Thanks for listening and have a great day.